What's up, everybody? My name is Scorch Trades. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what is an order block and also how can we use it, and also give you guys live examples of my own trades. So this video will be very informative, right? I'm going to be showing you guys trades I've taken this month using order blocks because it's a key part of my own strategy, right? But yeah, so to kind of understand concepts in general, you have to understand the most basic things of the market, right? Which is simply the higher high, higher low, and the concept revolving around that, and which is previous resistance, right, which is right here, broken, now turns to support on the retest. You have to understand that because majority of these strategies that follow the trend revolve around this logic, right? Fair value gaps, we break above fair value, we form a fair value gap, we pull back into it, right? That's simply a break and a retest. Order block, right? Order block only forms up, right? When we had that last down close candle, we break above it, and now we want that retest back down, which is simply like a break and retest, right? So typically is a higher low, but on the lower time frame, right? This also works on the higher time frame as well, right? We can go on the higher time frame and we can find kind of areas that we previously ejected, red candles, or areas of consolidation. Those can be used as order blocks as well, right? This is an order block. We want to see price kind of hold in this area, and we see that Tesla had a nice kind of reaction at this area and push up to the upside, right? This is not actually an example I was planning on using, but it's literally right there. So now let's talk about trades I've taken, right? This is where you kind of really understand, you know what? This makes sense, right? So let's talk about Tesla this day, because I took Tesla this day, right? The contracts ended up going over 2,000%. Absolutely insane day, right? This is actually this day on Wednesday, right? Made $4,200 on Tesla. Potentially, theoretically lost on $8,000 of potential profit, but you know, it is what it is, right? That's just part of trading. But let's talk about what we can kind of find here, what entry models we can make of it, right? So what happens in the first 20 minutes or 10 minutes of market open, right? We're just consolidating on Tesla, clearly now reclaiming above VWAP, but I'm looking at place name above or below our level. So once Tesla finally gets above our pre-market high and our previously high level, which is this kind of area I'm gonna have marked out right here, right? I'm looking now to play Tesla for the upside. So now I'm gonna wait for an order block to form. I'm gonna wait for either a pullback, instant pullback, or a pullback with some displacement. And displacement is simply like some room from the initial kind of forming of the, or okay, you know what, I'm just gonna show you guys an example, right? So right here, this is an order block right here. This entire candle, right, which is that kind of sharp, kind of down close candle, and then we broke above it with strong price action. This is now an order block, right? Right now we've, right. So that's what I was saying earlier, right? Previous resistance now turns to support. Because technically, even though this wasn't resistance, now that we've broken above this potential resistance, right, where there's a strong institutional buying slash selling, now we want to see this area be hold as support. So what I do personally, right, this is what I do personally, right? I don't mark out the entire red candle. I only top out the first top half slash top area of the wick, right? Top half of the candle where the wick is. And I want to see that area hold as my order block, right? So I want to see us simply break this order block, come back, retest it, show buyers are there, a wick or something, and then I can enter off, right? That next kind of green candle, and my stop loss would now be below, right? This order block for the kind of the best risk to reward, and then I'd be targeting higher time from liquidity, right? So this is something you can do multiple times if we're in an uptrend, right? So let me find another order block right here, another clean order block. So this is technically an order block as well, but not as clean because it's not like a really big sharp up close candle. Yeah, no, not really any clean order blocks, right? Not really any clean order blocks, right? We can also use fair value. So let me talk about something as well, right? Fair value gaps and order blocks are so similar. So if someone says one works but the other one doesn't, they're just giving you bullshit because they're very similar. Because guys, so this trade, right? If you technically entered on this kind of pullback into this order block, right, which is entire strategy, by the way, guys, there's also a fair value gap right here. This is a fair value gap right here. So I'm gonna make a fair value gap video separately, but these are really overlapping. So imagine someone that's an order block trader taking this strategy, and someone that's a fair value gap trader taking a strategy. They're gonna say my confluence works, my confluence works. They're gonna be beefing, but bro, they literally both work. It just depends on which appears first in the market conditions you're playing it in, right? And also traders that trade the 90 MA crossover, like 90 MA bounce or something, we bounce on the 90 MA as well as here. So you have to understand that all these kind of concepts are the same shit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, they're very similar. You have to understand that and kind of transcend above all of them. Understand price action is what matters the most, right? You can have these strategies locked down, but if you don't understand what a high probability market condition looks like and what a low probability market condition looks like, then you're not gonna be profitable or as profitable as you should be, right? And I'll give you guys an example. Right, today I didn't even take a trade, right? I kind of got the charts a little bit too early, but in the first hour of market open, we were just chopping. I identified it was a low probability day, and I got off the screens. Even if if an order block formed or we broke out of above or below high of day, identify that price action candles were small, the volume was low, right? There's a lot of buying and selling, there's a lot of confliction, there's a lot of consolidation on VWAP. I know it's a low probability day, so it doesn't matter, right? A lot of unprofitable traders will still play their strategies in those shitty conditions and then blame it on the strategy itself. But the most important thing is the condition you play those strategies in, right? And that's what kind of takes you a long time. That's what trading takes so long, because you need the experience to understand that and a discipline to also execute properly every single day and not overtrade. Okay, so let me give you another example, right? Bro, there's like, is there another example right here? Again, so this is not technically an order block, but it does technically count. And I don't, you're like, what this guy's saying, right? So this is consolidation, right? But in the 5 minute time frame, I want to see this kind of consolidation hold. This is technically an order block as well, not as clean as one we'd play, but is an order block you technically or would expect price to kind of bounce off of if you did come back down deeper, right? So this also counts as well. Do I see any other examples? Let me pull up another trade today, right? Let me pull up literally Tesla today. Tesla today, I know how to insane run. Let me give you an example of that as well. So do we see any order blocks forming here, right? Do we see any order blocks? So, no really order blocks to play off here. No really order blocks to play off here. Technically, there's an order block right here. So this is technically an area, right? You kind of would see price kind of consolidation or reaction. FC at this area, we clearly saw a strong bounce. And I'm telling you guys, don't take my advice, or take my advice, but don't take my advice fully. Go and see for yourself, bro. See for yourself, and that's where you'll be like, holy shit, you know what, this really works. And especially in the good market conditions, right? You'll be like, holy shit, it really works, right? And I don't use order blocks just by themselves, right? I pair them with fair value gap and price action as well. I'm not using just by themselves because then I'd miss these really clean steps, right? Because in this case, right, we had a fair value gap form right here, and technically, right, this is a green candle, right? Okay, so I'm gonna talk about something now. I'm gonna talk about a little more advanced concept because this video has actually gone derailed so far to the point, which is absolutely insane. I won't lie, because I don't edit these, but these are kind of beginner. These are kind of like not beginner videos, but these are videos that I'm just experimenting with because I'm not fully a content creator yet or editing yet. So this is just video full raw footage, right? Maybe it'll help someone in the future, right? So what happens at this candle, right? This kind of candle at 938. This candle had a very strong. Okay, so first of all, we have to understand key levels. So if you didn't watch my previous level about key levels, then you won't get this. But this 400 key psych level is a key level for Tesla, right? Simply because it's a whole number, right? If we can go on the higher time frame, this kind of line right here, I guarantee you, if you go on the higher time frame right now, there's gonna be strong buying and selling at this point in wicks. I'm gonna show you guys right now. I'm not. This is not scripted, by the way, right? So right, clear area, clearly wicking off this 400 level. Let me go back down now. Very strong body wicks. Wick over here, right? Wick above here, right? Rejection, rejection, rejection right here. See, you see this kilo 4 area? I don't even have to check on the higher time frame because I know it works because I've been training for so long, right? But yeah, so that 400 is a key level. And so what happens in this scenario, right? This is not a red candle. So would it qualify as an order block? And I'm telling you guys, this is why I told you guys earlier in the video, you have to understand, right, what resistance and support is. There is such a strong area of resistance on this area, right? Buyers brought the price all the way back up here, and sellers brought the price all the way back down. You're creating that big wick. But then the next candle, we break above this 400 key level, right? So technically, this is an order block, right? Not following the traditional rules of an order block like that red candle, but if you understand what I just told you, right? Previous resistance down to support, right? If we just had big sellers at that previous candle, now we broke above it. Now expect this area to be support, right? Or this 400 level to be support on a potential pullback, right? And so you can actually wait for this kind of pullback at this area and expect a reaction because it was an area that we previously had strong selling at it, right? So you necessarily don't have to wait for a red candle. If you understand it's a huge top wick and we broke above it, then that qualifies as an order block because it was an area that had big institutional buying and selling beforehand, right? But this is something you should do when you're a little bit more advanced in trading, right? Maybe in the beginners will be like, what the hell am I talking about? But you know what? This video's gone so far beyond. There's no script. I'm just yapping. I'm gonna be honest, right? But yeah. So again, so you have to understand, right? You can do this as well. It doesn't have to be a red candle if there's a big wick. That's what people don't really understand. That if there's a previous area of strong rejection and we broke above it with strong price action, that area, that institutional selling before or institutional buying if you're on the downside, should now be used as support. That's just how the market moves. That's what you should expect, right? And if you're in an uptrend, you expect the higher high that just broke to be now used as resistance. As support at that higher low, right? Because now we're understanding, right? Higher high, higher low, higher low consolidation, higher high, and we fail to kind of make a next kind of higher. We fail to make the next higher high as well. So yeah, I mean, I'll give you guys a little bit more examples, right? This video is 9 minutes, so I'll give you guys more examples because this video does not have a lot of examples. So what's the other trades I took this week? Let me pull up AMD. So AMD, I know I took a couple trades on AMD this week, so let me pull those up. Right, so AMD. Did I delete everything? Okay, I'll just find examples later off the charts because It's actually not that hard. Okay, so what is happening here, right? So we had this previous area, right? Strong kind of, we had that red candle and strong break above, or a block form right here. We expect price to see reaction in around this area. And what do we see right here? We literally see price kind of, price literally show reaction at the area, and also VWAP is there as well. So two confluences overlapping, right? Very, very simple strategy if you understand, right? I'm telling you guys, the most important thing is not about order blocks or fair value gaps or all this concept. It's literally what market conditions you're trading in and what name you're playing, if it's showing strength or weakness. Because if you're playing some choppy trash name, you're not making money. You're right. Like the name you play matters the most. Because even if you're a bad trader, you don't know anything. If you pick the right name, you can make money. That's how easy the money can be made in the markets if you're smart, right? But yeah, that is pretty much how you can use order blocks, right? For a downside scenario, right, it would be the opposite. Instead of looking for red candles, you want to look for green candles or very big bottom wicks, right? This is really hard to find an example because we're so bullish the past couple of days, but um, yeah, no, this video, bro, is different, right? But okay, I'm just gonna call it there. I'm not gonna lie. I did not give any downside examples, which is actually really bad. But I'm gonna make it this video again in the future. This video is just kind of a prototype video, but I feel like I talked a lot about concepts you need to understand, order blocks, how you can use them, how they form, what is an order block, right? Price action, market structure. Guys, if you guys understand 10% of this video, you're already ahead of a majority of traders because the majority of traders are gambling and they're just straight up stupid, right? Like we know this. The average American is not that smart. Like, and trading is not easy. You have to be not smart, but you have to. It's a skill, and to master a skill, you can't be stupid. You have to show up every single day and master the skill, right? And that's why I like to say trading is very similar to a video game, right? Where it's like a skill, you have to keep showing up and you keep getting better and better and better. There's some very dumb people that are very good at video games, right? And trading is very similar to that, right? Like I've seen some very like not intelligent people be very good traders, while very smart traders are struggling because they're trying to find this very nitty gritty and like they're very systematic, but they're not dumbing down trading, which is literally end of the day you want to find a name that's very strong or very weak, play with the trend, find a very high probability pullback or confluence, and let the probabilities play out on your risk or reward, right? But yeah, I mean that's pretty much the video. I think I talked about it, right? But yeah, next videos, right? I'm gonna be talking about fair value gaps next, which will be actually a better video. I won't like his order blocks. I don't really have any examples. I'm sorry, right? For the downside, because we've been so bullish, I literally couldn't find one. But for the fair value gap video, right, it'll be way better, 100%, 1000%, right? That's way easier to talk about. But fair value gap video will also be coming soon, right? That'll be a literal masterclass because I'm literally the goat of fair value gaps. And and guys, in the future, I'm gonna make a video talking about order blocks and fair value gaps together. That's gonna be a saucy video, right? Because that's low key like my strategy, but part of my strategy, right? But yeah, if you guys got value, which you should have, right? Please like and subscribe, and please comment down below for the algorithm, right? Comment down below fair value gap or order block, right? Just so YouTube can push my video because I'm low key irrelevant as shit. But yeah, you guys have some homework to do over the weekend or next time you trade, right? Identify fair value gaps, or not fair value gaps, order blocks, and see the reaction around them, right? You guys have to build your own confidence in your own system because that's how you can execute the best with your own confidence, right? So yeah, I hope you guys got information, and peace.